Okay guys, welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be doing this disintegration of an object in Houdini. Okay, so drop down a geonode, dive in, drop down a rubber toy, then drop down a match size, and on the justify Y, set it to min, make it visible, tick on scale to fit. Just to the left, drop down a sphere node, set it to polygon, set the frequency to 32, drop down a boolean node, connect the sphere to the left and the match size to the right input. Drop a transform node after the sphere. On the boolean, set the operation to seam. Make the transform visible and the match size partially visible. And so this sphere is where the disintegration effect is gonna start. So if I was to pull it here, it would start with the whole body and then go off for the head. And obviously we don't want that. We want it to gradually happen. So I'm gonna do something like that. And I'm gonna keyframe that and keyframe the uniform scale. Back on the boolean, tick off use only open curves. Connect a pop net to the boolean and dive in. Drop down a pop wind after the pop source. Set the amplitude to 2 and set the wind velocity on the x to -2. And this is what you should have so far. Drop down a ground plane, drop down a merge, and connect the ground plane and the pops over to the merge, then the merge to the output. Come out, and on the pop object, type in pop object. On the boolean, duplicate it to the right. Set the operation to subtract. Set this AB to BA. On the transform node, we're gonna make sure to properly position it, so make sure it's not touching, and then keyframe it on keyframe 1, and then go to frame 240 and move it so it completely covers the model, and increase the uniform scale size if necessary. Just make sure the whole thing is covered by the sphere. Make sure to keyframe it and keyframe the translate. And now you should have a sphere that slowly and gradually moves onto your model. And this is how the disintegration effect is gonna happen. Now grab the popnet output and the boolean and drop down a merge node. Back on boolean 1, scroll down and make sure to tick off AA and BB seams. Now on the boolean 2, tick off visibility of just make sure this is visible. If you go back to the start and then play it out, you should see this effect happening where it is slowly disappearing. And so if you want the effect to look a bit more distorted rather than smooth like it is, then you can drop down a mountain node after the sphere, and that will give the effect a bit more displacement. But I'm not going to do that. On this boolean 2, drop down a file cache and just make it explicit and save to disk in whatever position you want it to be. So once the file is cached out, it should be a lot faster like this, and that's what we want. Do the exact same for the popnet. So if you go on the merge node here and click play, you should have something looking like this, which is pretty good, but there's still a bit more to do. So drop down a sphere node to the left, drop down a copy to points, connect the sphere to the copy to points left input, drop down a attribute random node, connect the merge, my bad, connect the attribute randomize to the particle foil cache. Then you should have something looking like this. And so these spheres we've created are going on to these particles. But the problem is these particles you can't really see in the render viewport. So that's why we do this copy to points technique with the sphere. So the sphere is copied to all these points here. Drop down a point wrangle after the attribute randomize and type in the code. Click on create spare parameter and scroll down and you should have this spline. Bring this up. Set the interpolation to B spline. Set the P scale multiplier to 0.01. And this is the code you should write out. On the sphere, drop down a mountain, then drop down a subdivide, drop down then a attribute randomize, and set the attribute name to orient. Make that visible. And just right, so this isn't very dense, which isn't good. So the dimensions to 4 on the attribute randomize. Drop down a null after the copy to points and type in out particles. Come up here to boolean to the foil cache. Drop down a null and type in out base. Come out of this view, drop down a geo, name it as particles, and then drop down another geo and name it as base. Go into particles, drop down an object, merge, and then bring in your null particles. Then come out, then on the base, drop down a object, merge again, and go to object 1 and bring in your null base. Then go back into geo, go into the pop net, and on the pop solver set the min substeps to 3 and the max substeps to 3. Go to the pop source birth tab, set the constant birth rate to 1500 and scroll down to the seed and type in $, capital F, capital F. Set the jitter birth time to negative and set the interpolate source to back. Come out of here and on this cache redo the save to disk. Then once you've cached the pop now again, scroll down to the copy to points and make sure to tick on back an instance. Then come out, turn the visibility off on the geo, and then click play. First off, move the attribute randomize here to the point wrangle, and on footage type ramp underscore. If you come out here and click play, it should disappear like that. And that is the original effect I wanted to show you guys. Thank you for watching.